What's good, everybody? Well, today I'm going to go over my brake system tools, and these are tools for not only replacing your brakes, but you're going to see some of these used in an upcoming video when I diagnose a brake problem on my Trailblazer. So first I'm going to go over the stuff that's pretty much going to be used for the Trailblazer, and I'm going to get into some other stuff for just general brakes that might apply to other vehicles. The first thing to note is that your basic tools like ratchets, screwdriver, sockets, and all that crap, that was covered in basic tools that every DIY person should own. So this is basically in addition to what I showed you guys in that video. Now here I have a dial indicator, and what this is going to be used for is measuring what they call rotor run-out, and this is just going to be able to tell me if the rotors are warped. I prefer this one because a lot of other ones have a magnetic base that you'll put right here on the steering knuckle, but with the vice grip end it's a lot more versatile to what it can do. You guys have seen this before. This is my infrared temperature gun. This can also be used for diagnosing brake problems. As you can tell, we're cooking out here, 91 degrees. I also have two pairs of pinch-off tools. Now these are blue points. Now, you guys know me, I always talk about what works best. These Craftsman joints right here, these things suck. I don't even use these fucking things anymore. What you're going to see in an upcoming video, I'm going to use these to isolate a brake pulsation, kind of determine if it's coming from the front or rear. These are also going to be used when we do the brake pad and rotor replacement. I also have my micrometer. This is old school. This is what I learned on. Nowadays you can get digital micrometers that are way more easier to use than this, but this is what I learned on. This is what I'm sticking with. So here I'm using the micrometer to see how thick this rotor is on this Silverado, just to see if it's salvageable or not. You know, in a lot of cases I don't want to just replace parts if they don't need to be, so getting an accurate measurement and comparing it to, you know, the specifications in the book, that's the way I do it, because, you know, if it really doesn't need a rotor, we're not going to fucking replace it, you know what I'm saying? Now I have two big ass hammers here, and this is going to aid in rotor removal, along with some miscellaneous bolts. When it comes time for me to pull the rotors off of mine, I'll give you guys the correct sizes that you need. I just have a variety here. Basically what these are going to do is they're going to thread into these threaded holes on the rotor, and they're going to force the rotor off the hub. But sometimes you get in there and these little threaded holes in the rotors, they're completely stripped out, and that's where having these two hammers is going to come into play. I also have some mechanics chalk here. You guys will see when I do my brakes where this comes in handy. I also have the good old toothbrush. You guys might have seen this in the throttle body video. This is going to be used to clean off some brake parts.
You still have my toothbrush?
I still have your toothbrush. I also have a good coarse wire brush here. This is also going to be used to clean off some of the gunk on the hub. Good old trusty C-clamp. We're going to use this when we're compressing the caliper pistons back into the caliper. We also have Mr. Bungee, and I'll show you guys what this is used for. Use the bungee cord to secure the caliper down on the control arm or something. That way it's just not dangling from the hose. I also have some miscellaneous pieces. And I say miscellaneous because I don't really know what they came off of. One was for a power steering puller that broke off, and I kind of salvaged this. And what I use this for is when I need to hold the rotor onto the hub, I can just use the factory lug nuts, and that gives it a better bite. You'll see these come into play too in an upcoming video. You know, a lot of this stuff I also have my extendable magnet because, like I explained in my last video, for jacking off your Trailblazer, I don't put my hand under there at all. Now I have this. This can go into the end of either your cordless drill or your corded drill. This helps cleaning off some of the rust on the hubs, and that way you can get all the rust off from around the studs right there. Actually, I got this off of Amazon because getting it off the tool truck is just retardedly expensive. We also have a flex hone. This again you can put into your corded or cordless drill, and this is for deglazing rotors. I also have this little pipe cleaner. This is for cleaning out the caliper slides. It can go into a drill, but I've had bad luck with it eating up this twisted up end right here. So usually what I'll do is I'll take a pair of vice grips and clamp it on, and then I'll ream it out manually. I also have some sanding discs that are also going to help clean up the hubs. Again, these can go right into your cordless or your corded drill. You got to have one of these. Either a corded or cordless drill. Either's fine, but one or the other. These will be used when I replace the rotors on my Trailblazer. Which one you guys want to use is totally up to you. Now when I do the pads and rotors on my Trailblazer, we're going to have to crack open the bleeders. So I do have two things that I highly recommend having. mini butane torch. This is made by Link. I got it at Lowe's, like 20 some bucks. And I also have this brake bleeder wrench. The reason I prefer this, it's got a really long throw on it, and it's 6-point, and it's really beefy. I think the wrenches that I showed in Basic Tools, they were just your standard 12-point wrenches. Sometimes the little bleeder valves on the caliper, they can be so freaking tight that, you know, a 12-point's just going to round them off. So this is a pretty good deal. Now with the tools that I just showed you, I'd say just about every one of these tools are going to be used when I actually do the brakes on the Trailblazer, and some of these are going to be used when I try to determine what's wrong with the brakes in my Trailblazer. I got a couple issues going on with it. I've already got the pads and rotors, but we're going to go over it from start to finish as to the problems that it's having and what I'm going to do to diagnose what's wrong and then actually do the repair. So for you Trailblazer guys that watch my shit, this is for you, you know. But I'm gonna put all this stuff away and we're gonna go over some other stuff. Now down the road, I'm gonna show some other vehicles, and some of these tools are definitely gonna come in handy, so I'm gonna talk about them now. This might not specifically apply to the Trailblazers, but I think it's just something that, you know, I want to address now rather than later. The CK pickups, like our 98 2500, as well as some of the new body style Silverados, they always have that line behind the gas tank that leaks. So I have this double flaring kit for fabbing up my own brake lines. I've also got this little tubing cutter. You guys might see that. This is a KD Tools version. This thing is awesome. I love this thing. I've also got some flare nut wrenches. I'm gonna talk about this for a minute because you guys know me. I tell you guys what works. This Craftsman Professional series, it sucks. There's so many times where, like the 3/8 one, it just would not get a good bite, or I could not apply torque, or I'd even round it off. So in that case, I ended up buying the Snap-on 3/8. This is just a whole hell of a lot better. If the cheap Craftsman one worked better, I'd be the first one to tell you guys. But this one, the Snap-on one, so much better. You might be using this too. I got the Matco version of the 10 and 12 mil because it just works so much better than the Craftsman versions. So with these, I didn't buy the whole sets because, like, look, this thing is almost brand new. I don't even think I ever use this size. Same with the little one right here. I rarely use it, so I've only bought the ones that I've had to use myself. So I stayed away from the sets because a whole set of these is, you know, an arm and a leg. Another thing is, if I touch down on the two-wheel drive CK series, I've got a bearing packer. I forget the original manufacturer, but it's just rebadged as Matco. You guys are going to see that. I'm showing you guys this now because the setup for the rotors on like the two-wheel drive CKs, it's a little bit different, and when the rotors are replaced, you got to repack the wheel bearings. Now I've also got some drum brake tools, and again, this isn't for you Trailblazer guys. Some of the CKs and Silverados that do have drum brakes in the rear, I've got like a hold down popper, and I've got a brake spring tool and another brake spring tool. And these are things that, you know, you might see in an upcoming video. Even though these things do have the same ends for popping off and putting on the hold down springs, the one with the handle works so much better for me. We all do it sometimes. We all overfill the brake fluid master cylinder sometimes. So a little disposable suction cup, probably get these for $1 at the dollar store. If it's a one-time use, hey, no worry. Talking about the CK pickups and the Silverados, the CKs have hex bits for the caliper hold down bolts. Now I will tell you when we get to that point what size specifically you need, but it's just something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if I covered this in Basic Automotive Tools. I just did a Chevy Silverado recently, and it needed Torx bits to get the caliper bolts off. And in some cases they even make them in 1/2-inch drive. This is a Lyle T60, because sometimes these things are torqued down to oblivion. And then this thing right here, this Mityvac. Oh yeah, this Mityvac brake bleeding kit. This is kind of like a universal kit, but one of the things it claims to do is to be a brake bleeder. This thing fucking sucks, big balls. You know, it claims that, you know, oh, save time, do it yourself, and you only need one person there. Dude, I'll tell you straight up right now, there's no replacement to having an assistant to help you bleed the brakes. I mean, I'll show you guys that when we do mine. Fucking sucks. So, what I bought to be a one-man brake bleeder ended up being something that I really only used to test purge solenoids and vent valves. That's it. I mean, there's other uses for it, like vacuum controlled EGR valves and all that shit. The fact that, you know, it's marketed as a one-man brake bleeder, it doesn't do that shit at all. So I think that about covers it for brake tools. So again, you know, I know this video was kind of short and just kind of vaguely goes over the tools that I have, but this is going to prevent a simple brake pad and rotor replacement video taking an extra 20 minutes because I have to explain the tools that I'm using. You know, I think it's going to help future videos run a little bit smoother because you guys can use this as a reference to, you know, what you're watching right then and there. You know what I mean? Now I've got a lot of brake work to do, and we're definitely going to go over that in the next upcoming videos, but up next, I've got to talk about the most frequently asked question I've gotten. I guess it's the most frequently asked question of all time, and that's, yo, Mayo 3, my check engine light's on, what do? And that's what we're covering next, so stay tuned because up next, like I just said, Trailblazer check engine light, you know what I mean? So as always, thanks for watching, and if you like what you see, subscribe to my shit. You did get that part where I used the magnet, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, I don't know if motherfuckers actually believe that kind of stuff. That I, you know what I mean? That I won't, you know what I'm saying? Put my hand under there. You know what I mean? And I won't, dude. You put a $100 bill right there, right now. I won't do it. This motherfucking truck and that rotor falls on your hand. What are you gonna do? Pull it out? You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's the hand I beat off with. You know, I was gonna show that thing for measuring brake pads, but I think that shit's just retarded. Remember the little, you're filming this?
Yeah.
You know that thing with the little fingers on it that tells you, remember I've showed you that before, it's got like the green fingers, the yellow fingers, and the red fingers?
Yeah.
It's just like a scare tactic for people, you know. The guy comes out in the waiting room and he shows you, he's like, and then you're like, oh my god, there was this much brake pad material left. Oh my god, what am I gonna do? Here, take my 600 bucks. You know what I mean? Fuck that, man. I mean, these guys don't know how I do it, you know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be right to show them, you know, that little finger tool that I don't even believe in, you know what I mean? For, you know, if I had to explain the dial indicator and stuff for cleaning up the hubs and all that shit in the brake video, you know, that thing would run probably 40 minutes, you know what I'm saying? I can't wait to do brakes on this thing, man, because, you know, the stuff I've seen with the GM ABS brakes and the stuff I've witnessed after people did it themselves, the old school way, man, that shit's costly as a motherfucker, dude, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's something that these guys are definitely going to want to see. I think I'm going to catch a lot of flack for it though, man, because it's not traditional, you know? The old school way of doing stuff needs to stay in the old school. But I'm gonna talk about some of the things that I've seen when kind of like do-it-yourself brake jobs go wrong, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully these guys will feel me, you know?